And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. And we're back. 2 cameras set up. Everything is kosher. If you're watching the video, which I urge you to do over at youtube.com/cpluscomedy, that is what the beginning of each episode of the show has been like for the past 15 weeks. If you watch the video and also listen to the audio, do both if you can, if you have the time, if you can afford the time, or do both at the same time. You know, go to the YouTube and then go pull up the podcast. So pull up the video, then pull up the podcast, and then press play on both at the exact same time, and just listen to me. And it won't be stereo. It'll be what's stereo times 4 times 2, quadereo. That sounds like the name of a football player who beat the odds, who graduated high school, went to college. He said, "I'm gonna prove them wrong. I'm prove everybody who call me dumb wrong. I'm gonna do it." Quadereo, the stereo story. Yeah, it's all dumb. Welcome back to the Constitutionals. I couldn't even make eye contact with the cameras. If you're watching the video, I am back with 2 cameras set up now. I do have 2 cameras again. I was able to procure exactly 3 more memory cards, 2 SD cards for the camera, and 1 micro SD card for the GoPro. Because that was the problem. That was what was going on. Also, I did the main problem with why I wasn't using the Canon was because the battery. I think either the battery died or the charger died. So I bought 4 batteries, and it's an old Canon. It's a T3. It's a Rebel T3. So it's an old Canon, and now it's got 4 batteries. And if I upgrade to a different camera this year, it's not going to be able to take those batteries. So I don't know why I invested, $30 for batteries. It wasn't 30. It was like $16.99. Plus, they came with one came with the charger. It was like 16 plus 8, so maybe 32. It was close to $40. And then also, I'm doing a wedding. I'm shooting a wedding. And we're using my very crappy cameras. This is not a joke. I'm using 2 very crappy cameras, my phone, and then also a camera that will be provided. But it's not not even. It is a newer version of the T3, the Rebel T3. It's a T5, I believe. And then I also have I'm pointing to it. I'm not going to get it in frame. It's a stabilizer, kind of a stabilizer gimbal thing. And so I got a quick release plate that came with it, and then I'm able to slide it on there, and I'm going to be able to hold the camera like a real camera person. Again, it's a very crappy camera. All 3 of the cameras I'm using. So, yeah, that's it. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. It is the day before Valentine's Day, a cursed day for us all. Last year I had somebody, now I don't. So, right now I'm cooking a very wintry meal. It is short. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to do braised short ribs. They're in the oven right now. I got home at 4:41. I should have started them at 4:42. I started them at 5:30. They will not be finished until 7:30 o'clock at the latest. I'm excited. They smell good. The apartment smells amazing. It's the smell. I was going to say the sound. The smell. God, I hope there's not a sound. The smell is wafting from the oven directly into the office. It's in my bedroom as well. If you are wondering, I still do have that tux. That is why I have that tux, and it's still sitting here, waiting to be worn. I've worn it exactly 3 times. Once to try it on, another time to shoot the Constitutionals for last week, and then the other time to shoot News Time this week. Speaking of News Time, definitely check out that episode of News Time that came out this past Monday, which talked about, it was an Oscars episode. I tried so hard to get it out in time because it's a very long episode. And also I'm not driven right now for a lot of reasons. But this doesn't make me any money. That's why I'm not driven. But it is a very long, one of the longest episodes I've done in the past couple of months, I would say. 13 minutes long, and it covered the Oscars, the recent spate of diversity, and just a whole bunch of things. I got to wear the tuxedo. It was very well produced compared to the last 10 episodes. Besides bloopies, it was very well produced. It's the most produced episode I've done in a long time. I'm very excited for it. It's a very, very happening episode, as the kids say. And so definitely check it out. I enjoyed my time with him. Yesterday, previous to today, I'm the 13th. I'm recording this February 2020. Dear Lord. I spoke to Christian A. Pierce. I was supposed to talk to him today. His rep said, "Hey, can we do it today instead?" Which was yesterday. I said, she emailed me very late. Her time, perfect. It's the evening. My time, it's almost midnight. So she emailed me. She emailed me at like 11:45. I see it the next morning because I check while I'm doing my morning constitutions. I check the C Plus Comedy's email. And speaking of emails, I just got one from Credit Karma talking about my taxes. So she emailed me, and so I saw the email, and I go to the gym at 5:00 in the morning. So I'm sitting on the toilet, 4:45. I look at the email, and I go, "Oh God, I guess I have to do this today." So I email her, which is also, don't email somebody at any early morning span. But I mean, this is pertinent. That's why I had to do this. So I emailed her at 4:45, and she did not get back to me. But then she called at the time, and I was sitting in my car, and 5 minutes had passed, and I was like, I guess I should just leave. And I got the phone call. But Christian's a nice guy. He was promoting The Real Bros of Simi Valley, which is a YouTube turned Facebook Watch show he does with Jimmy Tatro, his partner in crime. It's really funny. And I can say this because with confidence, I like this guy. He's a person of color. He's doing well. He's got a cool haircut, and he's very muscular. And I think we would be good friends. If we were in the same scene of people, I think we would be really good friends. I think we would text often. No, not often. I think we would text periodically, and we'd hang out periodically as well. He and Jimmy, they do this Real Bros thing, and they're playing these kind of douchey guys. They are, but they and their friends are playing these douchey guys that are very fratty, and that's basically their background. They went to the same college, and they were very fratty and stuff. But they're also very funny in that they have personalities. They're very funny. They have good personalities. They're hard workers, and. It's interesting. I brought this up when I was talking to Christian A. Pierce, by the way, when I was talking to him yesterday. He's the first YouTuber I've ever spoken to. I've interviewed late night writers. I've interviewed just stand-ups, touring stand-ups, actors, music people. But he's the first YouTuber, very surprisingly, first YouTuber I've talked to in the 6 years I've done this. And it's interesting to see. I wanted to talk to him because he was a YouTuber and he does have a big following. I really wanted to see. The conversation turned towards me saying, and I didn't have his question written down, but he's doing YouTube stuff, online stuff, and it's really broadened out into. Now he has a show on Quibi, and now he's developing an animated show that's going to land somewhere. And so YouTubers are kind of, if you know YouTube, if you watch YouTube, then you know that world. But if you don't, then you're out of the loop. And I would say 40% I would say maybe 30% of the 40 to 30% of the world does not care or does care about YouTube. I would not say it's a lot of people, but that being said, if you have a huge following on YouTube, you have a huge following on YouTube. Jimmy Tatro, Christian A. Pierce, I think Jimmy's channel is Life According to Jimmy or something like that, and that's the main channel they work off of. But they have, and especially if you look at The Real Bros of Simi Valley, the episodes are up on Facebook Watch, and there are tens of thousands of views on Facebook Watch. and on YouTube, it's millions of views. The regular person is not going to go, not going to know who's a big YouTube person I follow. MKBHD. They're not going to, even though I crapped on him several episodes ago, but the normal person is not going to know who he is, and they're not going to care who he is. But you ask me about YouTube, like, hey, how do I, or anybody who watches YouTube, hey, how do I, who should I watch for tech stuff? And you say, you should go MKBHD. You're going to say that person. I should actually just pull up YouTube instead of trying to think of people to talk about. Also, I don't follow a lot of people. Doug DeMiro for cars, the report of the week for food, and Good Mythical Morning. Let's save them. Good Mythical Morning talk show. Rhett and Link and their team of 1,000 white people, the 2 brown people that work there. They have this company called Mythical in LA, and it's a morning talk show. They try different foods or they do different stunts, and sometimes they have famous people on. I just watched one with Terry Crews yesterday. And they have 2 channels, and they've been doing YouTube stuff for years, and they're able to make a company out of it and make some money off the channel, but also make money off the merch they sell and the tour dates and the books and YouTube premium shows and this and that and all that stuff. So it's 30% of the world can know who they are. Tens of millions of people know who they are, but then it's the billions who don't. And that's okay, because they still have the tens of millions who are loyal fans. If you are loyal to a YouTube channel, the chances are you're going to be loyal to that channel forever, unless they say some pretty downright rotten things. Otherwise, you're going to stay with them, which is hard to say for a TV show. People fall off of TV shows all the time. The Simpsons, Game of Thrones. I thought when I said people fall off of TV shows all the time, the very first thing that came to my head was the Mary-Kate and Ashley specials. And I only say that because on Hulu, Hulu now has the rights to air the Mary-Kate and Ashley, those 40-minute specials that used to come out on VHS in the 90s and early 2000s. Now they have the rights to air that stuff. And there was one, oh God, I don't know if I'll remember this one, but there was one where I'm trying to type. I just typed in the word Mary A. The word Mary A. Mary-Kate and Ashley. There was one where they did a movie about a bride. It was a mystery thing about a bride, and it scared the living daylights out of me. Is it? No, not it. Not It Takes Two. It was a scary thing. Scary. I'm gonna type in scary and bride because it scared the crap out of me. Let's see. Okay, you know what I'm gonna say? Oh Jesus! Just hit the Google sign. I'm just gonna say Mary-Kate and Ashley. Mary-Kate and Ashley, there was a movie they did, and it was part of their, oh boy, they smoked cigarettes apparently. What is it? Was it the Adventure? It was the Adventures of Mary-Kate and Ashley. So we had those in the mid to late 90s. Let's see. Okay. The Case of Thorn Mansion. A ghost is supposedly haunting a mansion in Transylvania. The girls must figure out what happened behind it. The ghost ends up to be a caretaker of the mansion, who's also a beekeeper. Logical Ranch. It might be the mansion one. Mystery Cruise. Funhouse Mystery. And Christmas Capers. Space Mansion. Shark Encounter. The Hotel Whodunit. Okay, so you know what? It was probably the Case of the Thorn Mansion. The 1994 The Case of the Thorn Mansion. 30 minutes per episode. My God. And there's one part where the girl, where they were hiding outside of this house. I remember this very distinctively because when you have 4 VHSs, you're going to watch the same thing over and over again. I remember we were when I was watching Shrek, and there were jokes. I would always bring my parents down for. I would go, come, like we had in our basement. We had the TV that the VCR was hooked up to. Also, I had a TV in my room. I don't know why I was doing this, but we had a TV that the VCR was hooked up to. And I'm like, come on, come downstairs. I gotta show you this joke. And I would do that, for all of the 90 minutes. Here it is. Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna. Yes, they're sitting at a table at a desk. And the answer, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm thinking of. Is this the Ghostbusters music? Oh God. Okay, I gotta turn this down so we get a copyright strike. But they get let off at this house, and I'm gonna skip ahead, and they're walking up holding hands. Oh my gosh, I remember every second of this. Yeah. Yes. And they were scared because there's the mansion's got like, it's got like stuff over it, dust stuff over the furniture. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Okay, I should stop. Listen, this got way out of hand. I wasn't supposed to go on this long. I was supposed to vamp until I only have 3 stories. I was supposed to vamp until I had enough of that. Listen, I gotta go check this meat. But when I return, we're gonna talk about what was I talking about with this? Hold on, before I go to break. Yeah, it was. I mean, it scared me. It scared me because the beekeeper would pop up and the beekeeper would like look left and right. It was very scary. There's also a Disney video that's, okay, I'm done. We're gonna go to break. All right, just give me 1 second. I want to check on my meat, and then check on my meat. Title of the episode, and then we'll come back with this. Second part. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to the second part of this show. I quickly ran up, checked on my meat, and then I forgot to write down the title. Check on my meat. All right, that's the title of the episode. Let's get into the stories. I was truly only supposed to vamp for 5 or 6 minutes, and then get into the first story, and then wait. I'm gonna go ahead and skip past the first story really quick. I want to go into this second one over here. It's called E3 2020 will be different. Editorializing it as Geoff Keighley drops out of Coliseum event. This is by Steve Watts, written over at the GameSpot channel website. Now, this is a very bad title. It's E3 2020 will be very different, and then comma, as Geoff Keighley drops out of column. Just the thing is, they're trying to attract people. And what's the big thing? What's the bigger name? What's the bigger noun in here? E3 2020 or Geoff Keighley? E3 2020 is obviously the big event that happens where video games get showcased during the summer, and it's a week long, blah, blah, blah. Geoff Keighley is obviously one of the biggest names in gaming news, gaming coverage, gaming presenting, and but what do you have leading off the header with? So you go E3 2020. All right, people already recognize that E3 2020. They're probably going to click, but if you have Geoff Keighley up there, how many people are going to click on that? Anyway, why you have to have 2 independent thoughts there? E3 2020 will be very different. Will be different, comma, as Geoff Keighley drops out of the Coliseum event. All you have to do is say Geoff Keighley, or E3 2020 loses Geoff Keighley as, not a producer, but, as a commentator or whatever. Anyway. Geoff Keighley, you may know him from the Game Informer show, what was it called? Yeah, Game Informer show. I think that's what it was called. Very great show on Spike TV when that was a thing. And it would come on at midnight on like Saturday nights. But Geoff Keighley has since become one of the biggest names in, games media hosting, because he knows what he's talking about. He's smart, and he's kind of like, who's a person who is very diplomatic in what they say and doesn't put emotion in anything. He's very non-emotional, but he's one of the better people in games media. So E3 2020, E3 has been on a decline in recent years, and Geoff Keighley is seeing that. In a statement he wrote he posted to Twitter, he said, "For the past 25 years, I've attended every electronic entertainment expo. Covering, hosting, and sharing E3 has been a highlight of my year." I'm going to skip ahead. I have made a difficult decision to decline to produce E3 Coliseum. All he has to do is say that. He loses E3 20. This is what they should say. E3 2020. E3 2020 loses Geoff Keighley as producer. Boom. Because technically he is producing part of E3. The Coliseum event is the live YouTube show. Anyway, for the first time in 25 years, I will not be participating in E3. I look forward to supporting the industry in other ways and at other events in the future. This is just another, people think this is another nail in the coffin, and I slightly agree with them, but mostly disagree. For E3, E3 has been on a decline in recent years, and because it's become less of a gaming trade show and more of a gaming spectacle event space, and there's conferences leading up to public days where people can come in and play. I think it was better when it was in Atlanta in the 90s, when it was very bad for that time it was here. But I believe it was better when, right, they've been letting the public come in, and so it's become this congested place in LA during a time where you shouldn't have congestion. I should start this over. And it sucks. So I think they should lessen the amount of tickets they sell. Raise the prices on tickets that they currently sell. So, instead of selling, let's pretend this is the number that they're selling, but instead of selling 200 tickets, they should sell 100 tickets and then raise the price from $50 to $70. Just do something like that. Make it kind of more of an exclusive event, and don't put the emphasis on this is the only place where you're going to find out the new and latest games, because that's not true, because we have the PlayStation experience. Nintendo does directs throughout the year, Gamescom, PAX. There's so many different ways to find out about new video game things, and then things that aren't even announced. So they have to realize that they're not the only convention in the system anymore. So E3 needs to change. Geoff Keighley's gone. I said Geoff Keighley. Geoff Keighley is gone. But now we can get to TV stuff. Let's go on to the first story that was posted on the thing. You tap on it. I have an OtterBox for this iPad. Watch the video. I have an iPad. I have an OtterBox for it. The plastic on here, first of all, it makes everything look like crap. Second, it makes it very tough to tap on things. So I'm just going to get a glass screen protector. I'm going to rip off the plastic. Okay, this is from the Hollywood Reporter. Streaming TV usage nearly doubles in less than 2 years, Nielsen says. This is written by Rick Porter. The ratings service also catalogs a truly staggering number of titles available to consumers in 2019. Record 532 original scripted series aired on television in 2019. This is from FX, the cable network. John Landgraf. In terms of sheer volume of content, though, the FX figure understates what's available by a factor of more than 1,000, according to data from Nielsen. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. The rating service, this is the first time I'm reading this. The rating service's latest total audience report takes a deep dive into the streaming ecosystem, revealing that the majority of TV consumers pay for more than one SVOD service. The streaming usage in OTT-capable households has nearly doubled in less than 2 years, and that there is virtually endless supply of content available to those users. Very true. This is why people, if you have more than one streaming service, you're having a hard time staying on a show, like me. The headline number in the report illustrates the incredible amount of content that makes up the TV universe, using data from Nielsen-owned Gracenote, which powers TV listings guides and search functions for on-demand providers. The company determined, here's a number, that in 2019 alone, a mind-boggling 646,152 unique program titles were available across every linear and streaming outlet, from your YouTube to your Netflix, is what I'm adding in. That's every series, current and past, movie, special, news programs, sports telecast, and kids show that ran on one platform or another, from broadcast networks from Netflix to niche streaming services. That does not include individual episodes. This is from the Nielsen Senior VP of Audience Insights, Peter Katsingris. There are 236 episodes of Friends, but Friends just counts once here. You can imagine when people go to choose content, they can get very specific. Only 9% of those, again, 646,152 titles are available exclusively on services like Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime, and 16% are exclusive to linear TV. Wow. Holy moly. Then they have some survey stuff. 646,152 shows and movies and sports and news. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot. I was checking the time. That's a lot of stuff. I got to leave at 6:30. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot. That's an insane amount of things. But that's not a factor of 1,000. By a factor of 1,000. That's when it said underestimates what's available by a factor of more than 1,000. I mean, that they're just off by 100 and some odd thousand. That is why I don't know. There's a lot to say on this. There's just Netflix and Amazon Prime. Netflix and Amazon Prime in particular. They're just throwing paint at the wall, and a lot of it's not sticking. There are shows that have run on Netflix for one season and they cancel it. Whether they're high profile shows like Tuca and Birdie, or they're shows that you don't even know exist. And they're from France, and they were on for 13 episodes, and then Netflix said, we're going to cancel it. And a small contingent of people come out and say, we don't want you to cancel it. There's just a lot of things, and there's got to be a point where everything, where they're where they're going to start bundling up streaming services, and then eventually there's got to be a bubble where everything just bursts. I was talking to a coworker yesterday, and he's been around the block for a little bit, so he is. It sounds like I'm making fun, like I'm saying something mean. He's an older gentleman, and he's had a storied career as an editor. And he works for Broadway Video. I was talking to him. He worked. That's Lorne Michaels' thing. He worked with Broadway Video, and he was telling me about, and CNN and all this, and Turner and stuff. We're talking about TV and comedy and stuff, and he talked about, he remembers when there's only 3 channels, and it was just ABC, CBS, and NBC, and shows will get millions of viewers, but now a broadcast show is lucky if it gets a couple million. Big Bang Theory murdered in its time slot, but then then you have smaller shows, like comparatively smaller sitcoms like Superstore or Brooklyn Nine-Nine that probably don't get, the 9 to 10 million viewers, but Superstore gets renewed for season 6. Brooklyn Nine-Nine gets renewed for season 8. So, obviously streaming, moving this fast is a good thing, but it's also, it comes with the territory. Because cable is getting increasingly expensive. AT&T just raised their prices, I believe. But these streaming services, if you still want to get TV, they're still offering it, and they're still raising prices, even though PlayStation TV shut down a couple of weeks ago. But Hulu with live TV, that jumps price like, seemingly $5 every single year. Now it's at $55 if you want Hulu with live TV without ads. You got Fubo. What is the P one? Philo. You can get live stuff on Amazon by subscribing to it. You can get, this and that. Yeah, and Google Fiber is going to suspend. The home heard me.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Never mind. Jesus. But it's going to. She's not turning off. Never mind. Okay. But Google Fiber stopped offering their cable service. So I don't know. This is just all new to me. Not new. It's all commonplace. We're going to see this coming, and eventually cable's going to die out. Even though I still like watching cable. I got ESPN on in the other room right now. Now it is running from the ESPN app. But who cares? And this final story comes from Brian Steinberg. Welcome to the TV news business, Viacom. This is just an analysis of, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is what happens last week. Gayle King And CBS this morning, or CBS News rather, released an interview she did with Lisa Leslie. Now she didn't have the final edits to this, so whoever edited it, the producers, presumably, she asked Lisa Leslie a question about Kobe Bryant, and obviously it went into the rape allegations, but that wasn't the whole point of the interview. The interview was supposed to be, celebrating basketball and the life of Kobe and all that stuff. But the producers, with them only having a couple of minutes, they just made the interview kind of about the rape allegations. And then Gayle was very angry about it. She was audibly angry. She posted a video to her Twitter channel. And I'm sorry, I just heard something. She dismissed CBS not this morning, CBS Evening News, and said, why would you do this, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And then she didn't show up for work for like 3 days straight, because I watched CBS this morning, most mornings, and she didn't show up to work. They had that other woman in there. What is her name? The black woman. I wish I knew her name. But they had the other woman in there, and it was so funny because I remember, like, that night I remember reading something about Gayle. And then the next morning I was watching and I went, oh, she's not there. She really didn't show up to work. She wasn't sick because she was fine the week before. So she just didn't show up to work. And then she didn't show up for a couple of days. And then she came back. And then CBS said they're looking into the matter. They never released anything about it. But Snoop Dogg came out and started like threatening Gayle, which is, you don't do that. And then Oprah came out and said that Gayle is really, really hurt. And Oprah was like tearing up. Apparently, and but now Brian Steinberg has written a very I don't want to say thoughtful, but I don't want to say poignant, a piece where it points out that now that Viacom and CBS have remerged again into this power conglomerate, Viacom is now back into the news world, whereas for the past 10 years where they weren't with CBS, because Viacom and CBS were a thing in the early 2000s, but now they are again, then they weren't. Anyway, they were out of the news game for a little bit. Now they're back in it, and this is their big kerfuffle, is what I wrote in the notes. This is what happens, this is what happens in the news world, where you have things like this, and you gotta be able to roll the punches and this and that and all that stuff. It's tricky business. Producers have to know that, obviously, when somebody big like that passes away and there's allegations like that, but you gotta tread lightly on stories like that. Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, those, they were sentenced and sent to jail and all that stuff, but this is just such a tragic loss. Were people crying when Jeffrey Epstein died? I was gonna say was killed. I don't know. I was gonna start as a conspiracy theory. But no one cried when he died. But Kobe's was different. It was settled out of court, and that was years and years ago. I'm acting as if it was 40 years ago. No, it was 2 decades ago. However, it had just happened. And where everybody, the world is reeling from it. But, I don't know. It's just tough. It's tough to say. Here's what he wrote. This is as the Viacom half of Viacom CBS is learning, news divisions are messy. Because, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, something happened with Chuck Todd, I believe. Where he was saying some stuff about Nazis, like not pro-Nazi stuff, but I don't know. And Fox News gets in trouble. It's not even in trouble, but stuff happens all the time. There was an article that came out, I think 2 weeks ago, that spoke about how the Fox News producers or something like that, a bunch of producers there have a list of people who spread quote unquote fake news, and it's like Rudy Giuliani and a bunch of like super far right wing conservative people, and they're like, we have got to get these people to stop talking like this. I think that's very funny. Even the network that you work for is like, stop it. That camera's already turned off. One day I'm gonna get a camera that records forever. Disney, ABC News, I assume, has gone through this type of stuff before. Yeah, here it is. In 2017, for instance, the Walt Disney Company agreed to pay at least $177 million related to costs it incurred in a lawsuit against its ABC News about ABC News. What? Against its ABC News. Just say against ABC News. After it was accused of defamation and by a meat processor. All right. There's a lot of extra words in here. The pink slime controversy. Disney got in trouble for that. They paid $177 million. The pink slime was talking about McDonald's, how it has fake meat. And I can say that because I ain't got money. Come at me, McDonald's. When you're a black youth, older black people always suggest you try to get a job at McDonald's because it's owned by a black man. Look what it's doing to our community. CNN, while an integral driver in the profits of Time Warner, was used by the Trump administration to slow AT&T's acquisition of that media conglomerate. Fox Corp had to grapple with advertiser defections from the primetime lineup of Fox News Channel in 2018 after remarks delivered by two of its primetime opinion hosts. You're just going to have to get used to this stuff, Viacom, now that you're a conglomerate again. Everybody's got to get used to this stuff because everybody's saying, just fiery things just to be fiery. Last week's episode of this show was way too long. So this episode is about half that, and it's still way too long. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can find interviews with your favorite comedians and a few other things. Old reviews I've done. The last review I did was the TV show Crashing. You can... that was in 2018. When Crashing was canceled, I stopped reviewing. No. I stopped reviewing the Crashing season finale. Season 2 finale or season 3? Season 3. I had an idea for the next season of the show. If they did one more season, Pete moves from New York. It'll be a time jump. So Pete moves from New York and moves to LA, and he starts a podcast, and it's called Making Weird. If you listen to You Made It Weird, and you know who Pete Holmes is, then this is gold, baby. Gold. Making Weird with Pete Holmes. And he starts a podcast, and he's been doing comedy stand-up for a few years at this point. Like I said, time jump, and then he gets a talk show on TBS. such a very specific thing because it happened in his real life. Anyway, listen, head on over to that website, cpluscomedy.com. If you want to see a video version of the show, head over to youtube.com/cpluscomedy to see me now scratching my leg and enjoying it. Oh my God, it feels so good. That pork smells so good. And then there's also what is it called? The show News Time that had the thing. It had the Oscars episode, so definitely watch that too. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @CPlusComedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ChatBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review this show. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. All right, I'm gonna hang up now. Bye.